Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Will is your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Touching. How are all my peeps doing? Welcome. Let's see. We have a slow start. I guess it's because it's Turkey week. It's the Turkey week, so guess we don't have a lot of folks in, but that's fine. We have Bridge MCP, May Wood, Lee Grant, Yvette Avery, Herod, and AVQ bringing it up. Folks, we are going to have a good show. I got quite a bit of videos to show today as well that we really have to heed. I don't know if you guys saw the poll numbers that just came out. How's everyone's doing this week? Asks Maywood. And Maywood says, I think I may have to go back downstairs and get closer to the router. Well, we got to do what we got to do. Egberto, you better not work on Thursday. Actually, I'm invited over to somebody's home for Thanksgiving dinner. So the only work I'll have is that which I have on my phone. But I'll be eating turkey, celebrating. I don't like to call it Thanksgiving. Give me another name for it, please. I get funny feelings when I kind of adopt these indoctrinative names of holidays when I know the genesis isn't all that kind. But what can I say? Maybe I just need to stop being a stick in the wood. Eat the bird, leave the phone. Okay, I'll eat the bird and leave the phone. So tofu turkeys. I wonder how that would taste. Eric Hayes is in the house. Tofu turkey, maybe. Tofu turkey. If it tastes good, I'll eat it. I'll eat anything. I'm one of those guys that go out there and try every kind of food I can get my hands on because, I love to experience I love to have different experiences. I'm not one of those that just go ahead and do absolutely nothing. Anyway, let's get busy with the show. I'm going to start today with the poll. We can get on to what we talked about with the Israel stuff a little later, but every day until that ceasefire comes, I'll be talking about it because again, it still hurts and breaks my heart, as I think it should just about everybody's heart, because what's going on in Israel right now, or rather actually in Gaza right now is the instantiation of evil. Evil begets orders of magnitude more of evil. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the polls. Biden ain't doing so good. Biden ain't doing so well. Why do you think? What's the deal? Anyway, these are my thoughts, and then we'll take it on the other side. Okay, here we go. A new NBC poll is out, and the news continues to be not very good for President Biden. And I know it's a year out, and Obama was down, and Clinton was down, and all of that is true. But there's some incidentals here that I think we have to be careful of. And that is for those of us who are on the ground. For those of us who are precinct chairs, those of us who are not just precinct chairs, but out there in the community, speaking to folks, mano a mano, face to face, on blogs, online, etc. There is a difference here, folks, and that is the young people on specific issues. And right now, the way many of the young people are looking at this particular race, whether it's Trump or Biden, they don't care. And for those who said, yes, but do you want to lose your democracy? They don't care. And I'm talking about a select group on which the election can actually turn. They don't care. I have spoken to a few Gen Zs, some younger Gen Xers, and the way they see it is that they rather give an establishment party a black eye and pay the price with pain than to continue to have something stuffed in their face. I want you to look at this poll, and believe it or not, if you take a look at this poll and you select certain parts of it, the story that I just told is what is within this poll. Let's take a look at this, and then we'll take look at it on the other side.
The war between Israel and Hamas rages on. It is having a transformative impact in our politics. We have a brand new NBC News poll out this morning, which shows the toll it is taking on the president. I'm joined now by national political correspondent Steve Kornacki to take us through the numbers. Steve, some real stunning highlights here in this poll.
Absolutely. And I think you're right to set it up that way. What's happening in the Middle East, it really does seem to be connecting with what's happening domestically in our politics. Let's start with the bottom line here. President Biden, what is his job approval rating? We measure it now at 40%, with 57% disapproving. The significance, that is the lowest President Biden has ever measured in our poll in terms of job approval. And just look at the sea change from the start of this year. Remember, early this year, Democrats coming off a strong 2022 midterm. He was almost even. Now he's 17 points underwater on this question.
Significant dip there, Steve.
It is. And you can actually, if you take a look here by party, I think it's significant for two reasons. One, independents, obviously more than 2-1 disapprove. You don't want to be there as an incumbent president, but I think equally significant, no surprise, 7% of Republicans approve of Joe Biden's job performance, but 3 times as many Democrats, 21%, that's more than 1 in 5, say they disapprove. You need much more unified support in your own party if you're going to have a successful re-election campaign. And we mentioned the drop in that approval rating and the connection to the Middle East, and here it is. On foreign policy, 33% approve of Joe Biden's job performance. Just in September, we asked the same question, and it was 41-53.
These numbers surprised our own pollsters, Steve, with one saying he cannot remember a time when a foreign entanglement that didn't involve U.S. troops had the capacity to transform the electorate. And that's not the case in this poll.
No, and go even a step further on this one. I think this jumps out at you too. Overall, this is the handling of the Israel-Hamas war. And again, it kind of measures overall up with Biden's foreign policy approval. But look at this. Among the oldest group of voters, 65 plus, there's a majority who approve of how Biden is handling this. That's plus 12. Look at the youngest group of voters. 20 approve, 70% disapprove. He is 50 points underwater with the youngest group of voters. That is a 62-point net swing between youngest and oldest on this topic of Israel and Hamas.
And it's a critical group of voters that he needs in order to win re-election, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So we're showing you Biden's problems here. And the question is, who will the Republicans nominate to oppose him? And again, Donald Trump towering above the field here. 2 others in double digits. Compare this to our last poll. And again, Trump is steady. The only growth you're really seeing, the only change, it's right there. Nikki Haley, she grew last time. She grew a little bit more this time into double digits.
And those numbers are fueled by non-Trump voters. I've been talking to sources inside Trump world who say they're not panicking because of that. But it's clear she's got some real momentum here, Steve.
She does. And her challenge is just what you say. You look at voters who call themselves conservative, very conservative. They're very pro-Trump. They seem a little reluctant, a little resistant to her. She's got to break through not just with moderates and independents. She's got to break through with core Republican voters who like Donald Trump if she wants to make this a real game with Trump. Okay, so if we are heading towards Trump, Biden, a rematch in 2024, how does that look in our polling right now? Here it is.
Wow.
Donald Trump, we have at 46%. Biden, 44.
And this is significant because this is the first time in the history of our poll that former President Trump beats President Biden, still within the margin of error, but still significant.
Yeah, in 2019, 2020, when Trump was president, he trailed all of them. This year, he's trailed all of them in our poll. First time in more than a dozen polls, we've seen a result like this. Some of the other ingredients that go into that, Biden has long had an advantage over Trump on likability. Look at the start of this year, 39% 29% said they had a positive view of Biden, barely 30% of Trump. We've seen consistently a gap like this. Now the gap is gone. 36 positive on both, and actually Biden 1 point more negative than Trump. That's been a significant advantage for Biden. Our poll says that advantage, at least for now, may be gone. And we talked about younger voters on foreign policy, and it's true on a host of other topics. Disaffected with Joe Biden. We have 46% for Trump, 42% for Biden among the youngest voters. The youngest voters in the 2020 election were Biden plus 26. This could be a massive sea change. And if you take a look here too, everybody sort of says, hey, I'm not too nuts about the possibility of this matchup. So we said, let's measure this one way. And here's how we did it. Biden against an unnamed Republican. This is just a referendum on Biden, basically. And look at this. He goes from being in a dogfight with Trump to being double digits behind, but then flip it around. Trump against an unnamed Democrat. Trump goes from leading against Biden to being down by 6 points against the Democrat.
So the question is this. Look, first of all, personally speaking, if Biden becomes, personally speaking, I am going to vote no matter what. Secondly, I am going to vote for the Democrat no matter what. But I'm not a millennial. I'm not a young Gen Xer. I am going to vote for the Democrat because I understand even now, at this point in our history, I will choose the better of two folks. I don't want to say evil because I don't want to call Brother Biden evil at all. But I will choose what's the better candidate. You know, Biden likes to use the phrase, don't look for perfection or something to that effect. Look for the don't seek the don't look at what the alternative is. I don't remember what the phrase is, but you guys know what I'm saying. So I personally, taking off my host cap, I will definitely be voting a straight Democratic ticket from the top of that ticket to the bottom of that ticket. And the reason I'm doing that is I think it is existential for our current generation and a subsequent generation. I mean, eventually it'll pass, and even fascist countries eventually can return to democracy after enough turmoil. But I don't want fascism in my time or my daughter's time. That's what I have immediate control over, and I will vote that way. But trying to convince youngsters who figure they'll let those who screwed them pay the price and they'll just stay home because, after all, they're trying to stuff things down their throat. Biden goes over to Israel and he hugs Netanyahu, irrespective of most of the young people understanding that Netanyahu is a war criminal who is doing horrendous things, not just now in Gaza, but many years before and before and before and before and before. And we, the establishment Democratic Party, stays with Netanyahu. When we look at certain policies, we can't muster the strength to go up against a plutocracy, an oligarchy. We still have both Pelosi and Biden saying, we are a capitalist country and this is just how things are going to be. As opposed to listening to the younger folks and say, wait a minute, it's on our backs. Look at what you guys have done on our backs. The short-sightedness, the tunnel vision of what has occurred with both parties, but one where it should not have occurred. Again, I will be doing the right thing as I push for more progressive values, as I push to ensure that eventually we truly get a progressive president. Eventually, we truly get a progressive Congress. Eventually, we truly get a progressive Supreme Court. But many won't see it that way. And I fear if the Democratic Party doesn't listen to progressives going forward, which are the basal representatives of the youth and quite a few of our our voters that want to do the right thing, the price will be paid dearly at the polls. And it won't only affect the presidency, because for those who stick it out and say they're not going to vote for the president, they likely not show up at all. And all down the ballot, what we will get is a failure of Biden to be reelected, and a failure for the recovery or the switch in Congress again, meaning the Congress would probably even become more Republican, and likely a turnover in the Senate. I know this is all bad news and this is all fatalistic, etc., but it would be deserved if the party doesn't start listening to all its constituents. I repeat, listening to all its constituents, especially the ones that will take you over the hump. Absolutely so, folks. Absolutely so. What are your thoughts? Anybody want to call in with some comments? 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. All right. It's interesting that we have a Jason Tuvi. Jason Tuvi, I'd like you to explain to me it with numbers. Why do you think the Trump economy was better than the Biden economy? Let's give an example, folks. If I tell you that the average person got $1,000, that the economy grew by 10,000, and the average person got 10,000. I got $1,000, but in reality, one person got 9,000, while the other got the other 9 got each 100. That's an average of $1,000 more. But most of it went to one person, to one group. Please tell me, how is that kind of an economy better for anyone, Mr. Tuvi? I'd like you to show numbers, because when you look at the numbers, you cannot possibly say that. But anyway, let me start reading your comments before we go to the other video. According to E2247, 70% of persons in South Gaza have no clean water. Philippines Zelazino, Commissioner of General UN Relief Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in Near East, told Al Jazeera on November 15th. War is after 10 months of most significant domestic socio-political crisis in decades caused by Netanyahu-led judicial coup legislation, weakening Israeli judiciary to save from 3 corrupt. Yeah, that's what he was trying to do. All right. Jason Tuvi says, thank God Republicans will take back the White House. Enough is enough. Well, they'll take back the White House if Democrats don't start doing what they need to do, the work they need to do. E2247 says, sadly, they didn't get moral philosophy and ethics instruction as kids, those who may do bad all their lives, and then if they say sorry for it when about to die, then all is well. All right, Bridge MCP says, Republicans don't do SHIT, to which I must concur. Eric says, ask yourself why young are sympathetic to Hamas or Bin Laden letter. It's not everybody that's sympathetic to Bin Laden's letter, as a lot of people would like to follow, but they weren't sympathetic with Bin Laden's letter. They were sympathetic with a particular set of statements. You know, not because something is all wrong means some parts are not true. Let's give a good example. Why is it that we have to do so? Why is it that we have to go into Iraq? Why is it we have to go into Afghanistan? Why is it we have to go into Saudi Arabia? Why is it we have to go into Ghana? Why is it we have to go into Dominican Republic? Why is it we have to go into Panama? You know why? Because we choose to be involved in other people's business. But to put it more bluntly, we choose to go into these places as extractors. If we minded our own business, stayed home, there's nobody that wants to attack us. The only reason anybody wants to attack us is because we are in their business. It's hard for many to accept that fact, but that is fact. If we were to say we'll make normal commerce work, if somebody wants to do business with us, fine. If they don't, fine. But that's not how our plutocracy operates. That's how every American citizen operates, the average American citizen. But the businessmen tell their government, hey, we want to get the bauxite out of Jamaica. If they say no, we need the military to go kick some butt, or we need the CIA to overthrow Siaga and put Manley in, or overthrow Manley and put Siaga in there. If we want to get what we want done in the Philippines, we need to make sure Ferdinand Marcos stay in power, or we make sure Baby Doc stays. You guys have to understand the politics of involvement and why. Okay? Anybody wants to go any further on that? We can do that at any time. Sympathetic to Palestine, not Hamas. Be clear. They must conflate what you really mean to somehow get some credence, Bridge. But we all know better. What we can't do is let them fear us, force us to fear defending humanity. We can't allow them to say, that's anti-Semitic. No. My Jewish friends agree with me 100%. And don't allow, and that is what's fear. That's their biggest fear, including for Biden. Remember, Biden is the guy who went on the floor and said, if Israel didn't exist, we would have had to create an Israel. I am still trying to figure out what he exactly meant by that, because that statement concerns me. I mean, like I said, I'm voting a straight Democratic ticket, but when I hear a statement like that, and that, by the way, that is for the purposes, not because I like Biden, but it's the pragmatic vote that I'll have to make. But when I hear a statement like that, it concerns me. And it should concern all of us. Lee Grant says, do not forget the hostages and the depth of depravity Hamas militants inflicted on innocent people. Let's see. Which is the biggest depravity? Blowing up homes with people in it, where people's skulls are cracked open, dead, die, 13,000 Palestinians? Or the 1,200 Israeli that were murdered? They're both bad. But who shows a higher degree of murdering people? Please tell me. Who have shown a higher degree or a higher capability to stomach the mass murder of people? You see, that argument doesn't hold, my dear brother Grant. He says there's a film documentation of this, but it's judged to be too hideous to release to the general public. I repeat, what occurred in Israel, what occurred when Hamas murdered Israelis was bad. If murdering 1,200 Israelis is bad, please tell me what's murdering 13,000 Palestinians. But you see, when you're in a system, a society that does not grant the same value to life, they do not value a Jewish life as they do a Palestinian life, that's a problem. Think about it. Paul Fleming says people of color who vote don't care about polls. We do their vote like always. We'll be there to vote like always. Eric says billionaire donors are pulling away from college campuses due to young stance with Hamas. The truth of the matter, I don't want billionaires on college campuses, to tell you the truth. Who the hell are billionaires? Why do you hold such reverence for billionaires? That is like holding reverence for the master who has enslaved you. Slave mentality, Eric. We've spoken about that. Paul Fleming says, did you ever see Trump serve the people during Thanksgiving? Did you ever see Trump do anything for the American public? No. But he says, do not forget the interviews of the Doctors Without Borders who got out, who said Israel was committing genocide, because they are. But you're correct, though. Yeah, they are. Let's see. E2247, enactment of an immediate ceasefire. I thank Senator Durbin for his statement advocating it. And I thank Representative Jesus G. Chuy Garcia for co-sponsoring it. Absolutely so. All right, continuing. Let's see what else we got. But he says, Dino, this is not the good old party anymore. Those that are still normal, GOP will not go against nuts. All right, Paul Fleming says, ATL is checking in. Welcome aboard, Paul Fleming. Paul Fleming says, just like the Constitution, the president can't control whatever another country does. You can only apply so much pressure, and we have all the pressure needed. We can simply stop sending Israel money, period. Tom Sarnick is in the house. Tom says, new polls seem flawed. The total percentage of Biden plus Trump does not add up to 100%. Difference represents independent individuals, mostly Democrats, who have not decided who they want for president. 90% of Republicans want Trump. Dems are much less excited about Biden. And that is absolutely true. The problem is, will they come out to vote? And that's my concern. Because here on the ground, what I see, Brother Tom, is a very, very, if you listen to some of the callers that I had during the last few days on KPFT, you'll see that a lot of these people are completely disillusioned. And they've thrown up their hands. So let whatever rain. That's how they think. But he says we won't know what will happen till the trials start, and we won't know what will happen with Israel. True. Let's see. Paul Fleming says, just like the cost of living, the president of the United States cannot control what another country is doing. We can only apply so much pressure. Punto final. I like that. I like the way that you're using punto final. That's a phrase I like to do. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Bridge MCP said, we back up what we say with links here, legitimate links. Absolutely. If the calls for immediate ceasefire had been heeded, none of the hostages would have been freed. And if a permanent ceasefire is entered, they're all freed. They will not come home. Think, people. Well, actually, I think I may disagree with you, dear Paul. Let me see what I'm trying to say. If it takes killing 13,000 Palestinians that had nothing to do with what Hamas did, and I don't want to sound coy, but I don't see it. I see killing 13,000 people as a mass producer of terrorists. People looking for revenge. That's what I see when I see 13,000 kills. First of all, I see the humanity and the pain that each of those people have, a mother, a brother, a father, a sister, all of that. But the day in and day out, 44 something days of bombing and annihilating people, mangled bodies. And we don't only have the dead. We have those that are permanently crippled, those that are gangrened, those that are dying slow deaths right now. There's so much evil in what is occurring in Gaza. I am sorry. I cannot abide by what Biden is doing. And like I said, while for simply pragmatic reasons in our country, I will be voting a purely straight line Democratic ticket, Biden, I'm not going to say that right here, right now, but what Biden is doing by supporting Netanyahu is not the right thing to do. It borders on as evil because, again, what it's going to turn out to be is our bombs used to kill Palestinians. All right, let's see what else we got here. Palestine will decolonize with Rawan EID and Fatih Nemer. I got to check that out. Thank you for putting that in there. Lee Grant says, congrats to Javier Milei. Argentina's far-right outsider wins the president election. Give a libertarian a chance. Well, I don't have to give him a chance. He won. He won fair and square. Argentina will pay the price, but he won fair and square. Just like if Trump was to come and win, and as long as he does it fair and square, we would have gotten what we deserve. Melanie Keelan is in the house. Happy Monday, Melanie. Welcome aboard. Look at intent, not numbers. Okay, let me see. When a drunk driver kills a person, they didn't intend to do it, but they go to jail for involuntary manslaughter. When Israel blows up a building, they claim they don't intend to do it, but they know that their bombs will actually create that murder, second-degree murder. So that is even above drunk driving. I'm sorry, Lee Grant, the numbers matter. 13, if one of those people were your wife, your brother, your sister, it would mean something. But because we are abstracted from these people, because we see them as the other, we can just look at a number and say 13,000 Palestinians died because they were used as human shields. My God, if they were used as human shields, then you shouldn't blow through that shield. Otherwise, you are just as criminal. All right. Let's see what else we got here. They donate to get their kids in for free. All right. Yep, that's true. Israel, go south. Gazans go there. Israel bombs south. Exactly. I mean, they have absolutely nothing. And then they lie, right? Check out what Ayman Mohayedin had to say about the Al-Shifa hospital, about the Al-Shifa hospital. Let's play that and then we'll take it on the other side. Ayman Mohayedin, he justifiably questions whether Israel has really found that the hospital, the Al-Shifa hospital, is somehow a control center for Hamas. More than likely, in my personal opinion, just based on the evidence that they attempted to show, which was so minimal. It was so minimal, the evidence that they try to show, it could almost be a setup. But listen to what Ayman had to say, and I think it'll put it into better perspective.
When you hear about the reporting from Al-Shifa Hospital, what's your sort of assessment about what's going on here?
Well, the first thing I think of is back in 2008 when I was based in the Gaza Strip, and I would go to the Shifa Hospital to report frequently on all kinds of stories. These allegations that the Israelis have been making literally for 15 years. You can go back to 2008 and see Israeli officials making the same statements that Al-Shifa Hospital was being used by Hamas as a command and control center. Sometimes they would call it the headquarters. They would say that's where the prime minister at the time would be hiding. And all I could tell you is based on my reporting there for years. I've been there hundreds of times, walked around all of the complex of Al-Shifa Hospital. Never once had anyone interfere with our reporting, telling us you can't go here, you can't access that. That's one. Two, I think it's important for viewers to understand that a lot of the doctors who work at Al-Shifa Hospital are foreign doctors, meaning they're volunteer doctors. Yeah. They come from the UK, they come from Sweden, some have come from the United States. And many of those doctors as well, we hear the language sometimes that the doctors and the hospitals are run and controlled by Hamas. But the truth is these doctors are Americans, Europeans, certainly no allegiance to Hamas whatsoever. And they have spoken openly about what they have seen and how they were never denied any access to anywhere in the hospital grounds for them to be able to go and see for themselves. That's not to say it's not true. I'm just saying it's been 15 years of these allegations, hundreds of reporters who have passed through those hallways, hundreds of doctors, including local and foreign doctors who have come through there, and never substantiated by anybody outside of the Israelis and now the Americans.
The president was asked point blank about the intelligence he had that the Al-Shifa Hospital was a Hamas headquarters. He said clearly in a press conference yesterday, Hamas does have headquarters weapons material below this hospital, and I suspect others. The U.S. is very out front on this. Yeah. And it feels like a lot hangs on the IDF's ability to show that this, in fact, was a Hamas headquarters. Right. This feels like an incredibly weighted moment for all of this. And I wonder what you make of Biden's strategy thus far.
So again, I would say as a journalist, where is the evidence? Where is the intelligence? I'm old enough to have remembered 2003 and the whole weapons of mass destruction debacle in Iraq. So I err on the side of caution when it comes to governments and intelligence officials saying, here's the proof and we're going to war for this proof. Again, it's not to say that it's not true. It's just simply to say we would need to see what that evidence is. And Israel would have to make a compelling case. And they have now been in control of Al-Shifa hospital for the better part of 48 hours, going on to 72 hours tomorrow. And what we have seen so far raises a lot of questions as to how they have described it. So again, they described it as a Hamas headquarters or command and control. The language has shifted a little bit from command and control to as Admiral Kerber said earlier, a node, a command and control node, which I'm not sure what that distinction is, but it just seems like it's a slightly downgraded description of what's inside. And what we're seeing also really raises questions on what Israel itself has described as its intelligence failure on October 7th. So there's just a lot of questions that I think as journalists, I would be looking at with a more cautious eye before running into the conclusion that the Israelis and the Americans are saying.
Well,
you know, it's not important whether these positions are being held by Hamas or whatever. Look, Hamas is a terrorist organization, but it doesn't justify Israel's massive killing of people to get to these terrorists wherever they are. In these times of technological advances, the thing that we have on our side is time. You wait to knock these people off as needed. Not go in and decimate the population, not go in and invoke what can only be called genocide. You cannot, based on everything that Israel has done in Gaza, that's the only valid assertion one can make about what's occurring there today.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.
Absolutely so, my friends. Consider becoming a part of our PDR posse. Anyway, folks, look, let me tell you, I sit back and I watch the news and I watch how Israel comes and they show you three rusty guns or a few rusty guns and say, you see, this was used with rusty guns. My God, please. I don't know why so many of these the countries with the bomb think the rest of the world is so stupid that they'll just believe everything that's being told to them. British MCP says, another Nakba? Israel Intel minister proposes expelling every Palestinian in Gaza to Egypt. In writing a year ago, a leaked document from Israel's intelligence ministry dated less than 1 week after the October 7 Hamas attack proposed a permanent transfer of Gaza residents to Egypt. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed the document's authenticity, but dismissed it as merely a concept paper, while Egypt and much of the Arab world has publicly opposed the forced displacement of millions of Palestinians. Do you question whether there are many in the Netanyahu administration who will use any excuse to start their new Nakba, their new genocide? You doubt it? Lee Grant says, the hostages would rather you not take your time. Well, the dead people, the 13,000 dead people would tell the hostages, we would prefer not dying. We would prefer not dying. So please, that doesn't hold water, my dear brother. I'm sorry. It doesn't hold any water. Anyway, folks, anybody want to give us a call? 281-823-7747. Do you have something that you want to add to the conversation over the phones? 281-823-7747. Again, 281-823-7747. Texas Bluebonnet says, it is baffling to me why we, the U.S., continue to give billions of dollars a month to help Israel keep this war going against the Palestinians with no strings attached. I mean, look, we know deep inside there are some strings, right? But they're not going to tell us because they want Israel. They want it to come across like Israel is this omnipotent state that can survive on its own. It really can't. It has to have America. If there isn't an America, there's no Israel. If America cuts the purse strings, there's no Israel. You know, so I mean, folks can say whatever they want. The only reason Israel has and again, this is just a statement of fact, right? This is just a statement of fact. Anybody wants to refute it, please feel free to give us a call at 281-823-7747. So now, as given that fact, America does need to exert its force. We need a two-state solution. We need to ensure that everybody has the right to exist. Everybody has the right to exist. That's what it's all about. That is what it's all about. I have one last video before we end the program today. That video is when an American administrator was asked, is Israel committing war crimes? Watch how it is handled. A simple question that cannot be handled. Check this out, then we'll take it on the other side. Every day you wake up, all through the day, you see more and more dead bodies in Gaza. You see more and more skulls of our children cracked open, limbs chopped off, dead bodies spewing blood all over the place. This is no longer an issue about terrorism. This is about humanity and what humans can do to other humans. And in this robotic world, we can kill indiscriminately from afar. It is concerning when one of the funders of a country that is using these weapons of mass destruction on human beings, when a country is funding it, they should have a right to dictate to the country receiving. You will not commit atrocities. You will follow the international laws of war if you're intent on evoking war. When a government administrator, Deputy National Secretary Advisor John Feiner, asked the simple question, is Israel following international law or not? Yes or no? That he couldn't answer that question in the affirmative says a lot. If Biden wants to wonder why so many Americans, and specifically younger Americans, no longer fall into the neoliberal line of just support for any country, like let's say Israel in this case, that's doing bad things. Now, let's be clear. A very bad terrorist attack occurred on Israel. I always have to anchor my message with that statement to let it be known that we're not trying to justify what the terrorist organization Hamas did to Israel. But Hamas is a terrorist organization. Israel is supposed to be a country, a state, a law-abiding democratic state. And when it is found that a country can inflict much more death, much more gruesome killing than occurred against them, it makes you wonder about the character of those who are running that country. If what Hamas did, not if, what Hamas did was terroristic, was animalistic, was wrong, was inhumane, what Netanyahu and the IDF is doing in Gaza is orders of magnitude over what Hamas did now. Listen to what John Feiner, Deputy National Secretary, Security Advisor to the President, has to say.
Are you confident Israel is following international law, John? Just yes or no there.
We are confident that it is our position that it needs to. When we have seen issues that are raised based on incidents on the ground, we raise them privately and directly with the government
John,
of Israel.
let me just, you're saying that Israel
play judge and jury on this question.
Yeah, let me just follow up quickly. You said Israel needs to follow international law. Are you confident they are following international law?
What I can say is it is not our position, certainly my position as a policymaker, to play real-time judge and jury on the question of any particular incident. When we see things that concern us, we raise them. We have done that during the course of this conflict. We will continue to do that. And again, just to restate it, it is our position that all countries, including Israel, including the United States, need to adhere to laws of armed conflict. Hamas, by the way, does not only not hold itself to that standard, it openly boasts about its willingness and its reality of violating those standards. So that is the challenge.
Now, that was a simple question. Is Israel committing an act of, or an illegal act, acting against international law or not? He couldn't answer it. But you know who can? All the people on the ground, all the data that we've been able to get out of Gaza, whenever there is connectivity to get out of Gaza. It's not only war crimes that are occurring in Gaza. What we're watching is a genocide, and one has to ask why. And by the way, for those who have been trying to attempt to make any criticism of Israel or any statement of genocide seem like an anti-Semitic statement, no. We have Israeli groups saying that, and I have spoken to individual Jews who are appalled because this is being done in kind of anchored in their name. It's not. What's occurring in Gaza right now has little to do with Jewishness. It has everything to do with an evil attack on innocent civilians, and there are notions out there that would make one believe there are ulterior reasons being used to maximize that terrorist attack into financial gain. But that's for another day.
Now, I want you guys, I see that Mr. Rational says, are Palestinians following international law? No. Is Palestine, you said, are the Palestinians following international law? This is not between the Palestinians and Israel. The Palestinians are the victims. This is between Hamas, a military group, and Israel. And is Hamas following international law? Hell no. They're terrorists. But supposedly Israel is not a terrorist state. So it should be following international law. Now, when you say they put kids where they will be killed. Okay, so let's see. I'm a terrorist. I hold up a kid. I hold up 5 kids in front of me. Okay? A police officer wants to get me. Does he shoot through the kids to kill me? Or does he wait for the opportune way to do it? Israel simply doesn't look at as Palestinians as humans. And I have a whole thing that I did on them where maybe let me see if I can find that video, because sometimes you have to play these things for folks. Let's see. I think I had a video on that. Let's see. I wish. Oh God. Massacre is a rhetoric from. I tell you what. Let me let you see what they think about these folks. Okay. Kathy Pascal, welcome to Politics Done Right. No one mentions this. These are men who do this. Women don't go out and murder children, steal others' lands, on and on. What is wrong with men? I just can't understand character. We accept these wars and the rest sacrificing young men to war. It never ends. The answer? Women. Let me see if I can play some of this. I'm not going to play the whole thing. We don't have all the time. But check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. The Israeli Defense Forces would have you believe that the reason they are destroying, annihilating Gaza the way they are is because of 1,400, actually not, it's 1,200 people who died, who were murdered innocent people murdered by Hamas. And that this is to destroy Hamas, and they're going through the war procedures to make sure they're doing, that's what they'll have you believe. What they don't tell you is that the same kind of right-wing hate for humans for the other is what's playing out now. The reason that they are killing indiscriminately in Gaza, even as they lie on American TV to say, oh, they're following the rules and it's just because Hamas is hiding among these people. Two things can be true at the same time. But also, one could say, why go ahead and destroy these people? There are a lot of other options. Flood the tunnels, blow up the tunnels. Let these guys come out like roaches. And as they come out, pop them off. You have all these drones and forces that can be used to minimize. You don't have to destroy the infrastructure of an entire town if you're not looking for some genocidal way of moving these people elsewhere. Well, you know, the one thing about it is the right wing seem to never have been all that smart in any country, in as much as they're sometimes successful for a period of time. But these guys didn't forget to tell what they were all about. I want you to listen to this montage that was put together of the hate and the plans that Netanyahu, the right wing, and Israel has for Palestinians and Gaza for that matter. Check this out.
זכור את אשר עשה לך עמלק להצטוון. אנו זוכרים ואנו נלחמים.
He's saying, listen to the Bible. Now go and smile, Amalek, utterly destroy all they have to spare not. But slay
it's an entire nation out there that is responsible. It's not true. This rhetoric about civilians not aware, not involved, it's absolutely not true.
אין חשמל, אין מזון, אין מים, אין דלק.
No food, no water, no fuel.
סגור. אנחנו נלחמים בחיות אדם.
Very puzzled by the constant concern which the world is showing for the Palestinian people and is actually showing for these horrible, inhuman animals who have done the worst atrocities that this century has seen.
Gaza won't return to what it was before. We will eliminate everything. Human beings are dealt with accordingly.
هناك إسرائيليون يعني وصفوا الفلسطينيين في غزة وصفوهم بأنهم حيوانات والأقل من حيوانات.
أنا لا أسويهم بالحيوانات لأن هذا تحقير للحيوانات.
هذا رأيك دكتور مردخاي؟
هذا رأيي.
תכסחו אותם כמה שיותר, שלא להשאיר מהם זכר, שלא הם, לא אמא שלהם, לא הילדה שלהם, לא התינוקות שלהם, אסור להם לחיות לחיות האלה. אתה יש לך שכן ערבי, אתה לא תחכה שהוא יבוא אליך הביתה, תיכנס אליו הביתה בטירה.
That is a military official. Creating a severe humanitarian crisis in Gaza is necessary, is what Gira Erdnad, the former head of Israeli National Security.
לצורך, אתה חושב שאנחנו יכולים להרוג מאות אלפי פלסטינים ברצועת עזה והדבר הזה יעבור? תראה, עכשיו בתקשורת הזרה יוצאת הודעה בשם ישראל שמיליון פלסטינים כבר ירדו
מדרום הרצועה דרומה. וכל מי שנשאר שם נחשב כמחבל.
They want them to leave. Invest this energy in one thing, erasing all of Gaza from the face of the earth. The Gazan monster will fly in the southern fence and try to get into Egypt. That's what they want them to do. Yes. Israeli official calls for
תשמיד את עזה עכשיו. עכשיו. עזה הופכת
in the administration and outside of the administration and in the military. How many American soldiers were killed in Hiroshima? This land is ours, a whole country, all of it, says the military official, including Gaza, including Lebanon, the whole of the promised land. We're finishing off Gaza, says an activist. Think about that, folks. We are a light unto the non-Jews. Think about that, folks. Now, I want you to understand what's going on here. I want you to really understand what's going on here. So, folks, that is what I'm talking about. So whenever we have those people who somehow claim that the reason Israel is doing that is like they have to do it, no, there's a certain kind of hate that the Netanyahu right-wingers have for Palestinians. And that is what I'm telling you. That is what we're talking about. I'm not talking about this being a persuasive barrier. I'm not trying to make this video be a representation of Israelis. This is a representation of the Netanyahu clan that is actually effecting the genocide on Israel right now. I'm not there. My friends are Israelis, man, and Jews. They're my friends. They're my brothers and my sisters. I have nothing against my brothers and my sisters. Netanyahu and his clan, they're evil. That's what we're talking about. Anyway, folks, please support the program however you can. How can you support the program? Please remember to go to politicsdoneright.com/support. That is politicsdoneright.com/support. Let me put that in the feed right now. politicsdoneright.com/support. That gives you all the different options in which you can support a small broadcaster, yours truly, that's out there trying to buck the system and tell the truth however we can, with our books, with our blogs, with our videos, we do a lot of work. So I ask you so kindly to please consider supporting us. Go to politicsdoneright.com/support. Please subscribe to our newsletter. Please become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. It's free newsletter, but paid subscribers get access to all 5 of my books and all subsequent books. All subscribers get all 5 of my books to read in the app, as well as online, as well as any subsequent books that I write. So I ask you so kindly, support us, either or, as well as going to politicsdoneright.com/support or subscribing, becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Anyway, we got to get out of here. We're about 2 minutes overdue. So my name is Egberto Willis. I want to thank all of you guys for being here. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.